Creating with your child, setting the stage for your child's creative expression. The ability to speak before a group is a valued life skill, but for some of us it's more challenging than for others. In today's creativity practice, we're going to explore a way to make that a little bit more accessible for your child. Hi, I'm Dr. K.P. McKee. I'm the founder and executive director of A Spacious Place Creativity and Spirituality Center, and this is my daughter.
I'm Dr. Ariel McKee, and I am, in fact, actually a genuine child of the executive director of A Spacious Place. Continue to be so.
And together we are going to go through some options that you have for puppetry with your child. And while we're doing that, we would love to hear from you. Send us your questions and comments, maybe ideas of things that you've done, so we can create a dialogue and all learn a little bit from each other. So let's just get started with the supplies you'll need. And we have 3 different activities here, so these will be some for some of these and some for others, and it'll just be mix and match. So first of all, you're going to want some scrap paper. It doesn't need to be in good shape. It can be leftover construction paper, scrapbook paper,
Magazines, if you get those leaflets in the mail and want to do art with them before you recycle the rest.
Yeah, and what we did here is we just sorted them by color into different folders so that we have the colors we want at our ready access. And then you are going to want something to draw with. For some of these puppets, the markers are great. For others, crayons or oil pastels work great. A pair of scissors. And then you're going to want a lunch-size grocery bag, some kind of glue stick or glue, poster board, and then for this project, a sock that has already given its life to your feet and now is ready to move on to something else, some buttons, and it helps to also have some glue maybe for this project. It's up to you. Needle and thread, some permanent markers of some kind, and if you like, also some fabric scraps. Felt is awesome for this because it does not ravel on you. Okay, so let's set the stage. The first thing you want to think about is how you're going to create a stage in your home for your child's puppetry experience, and Ariel's going to talk to us about that.
So the first one is a cardboard box. As you can see here, this one has been covered in black paper. You can also take a table like a card table or a coffee table, something that is a somewhat accessible table shape that isn't difficult to turn over. If you have a giant dining table, maybe not the best choice for this. But turn it on its side so that the back is standing up, and then you and your child can crouch behind it and stick your hands up for the puppet show. And similarly, if you aren't finding a table that works, but you have some chairs with pretty firm backs, you can drape a blanket or sheet over them and then hide behind it and pop your hands up, and you have an easy theater that way. And a fort for later.
That's right. Indoor forts are pretty awesome.
They are the best.
So now we're going to get into the actual making of the puppets. And I think puppetry is an awesome performance art, especially in the beginning for children. And the reason I feel this way is an experience I had in a classroom with a child. And this child simply did not speak. We never heard her voice in the classroom at all. And one time we were doing an activity that involved puppets, and she was very engaged in doing this and writing the script for her puppet to speak. I explained to her that if she wanted to do her puppet herself, that she would need to project her voice from behind the puppet screen so that people could hear what she had to say. And she just nodded sagely. And of course, when it came time for her line, I was waiting almost breathless. And for the very first time, I heard that child's voice from behind that puppet screen. Would you like to go see a movie? Yes, I don't remember that those were the words, but something like that. So puppetry allows children to be both hidden and heard, and so it is a great way to start doing performance or even public speaking. So we have some very basic puppet skills for you today. And the first one Ariel has demonstrated is a paper bag puppet. And what is the thing we want to remember about paper bag puppets?
The most important things about these is that when you get the lunch sack, you're going to want to help your child or the children that you're working with remember that the mouth is in this fold right here. And I always enjoyed drawing an actual mouth in there or sticking a piece of paper in for a tongue. Sometimes fangs, because every animal can be a vampire if you are a somewhat dark individual. And so children, back on track, children frequently want to do the entire face on this part that would be the bottom of the sack. Just help them remember that this is just where the eyes and nose go, and then the mouth is in here.
And we have examples here with our frog, and here with our dog, frog and dog.
It's like a pub.
Yes, and obviously we did some cutting out of scrap paper with this in addition to coloring with oil pastels. And you can use your scissors for this, but if you're going to be doing this for a larger group, these are magic. And so they'll cut out a larger circle for you, which is what we use for the eyes here. And then for the pupils, we just used a regular hole punch. So you have options with this. So that's the first one, the paper bag puppet. And then for the next one, you'll want some poster board. And you just want to cut out an oval of some kind. And then in that oval, you're going to cut 2 holes. And again, you can use your scissors to do this, but if you have a big hole punch, it makes life much easier, especially if you're doing this for a classroom. With this one, the main challenge is to help children understand these are not the eyes. And a good demonstration is the best way to explain that. Just these are the legs. So you just put your fingers through there and help them see this is how it works. And again with these we did a combination of markers and also cutting some things out of paper and gluing them on. And I used an assortment of sizes of hole punches for this one too. And they can do whatever they want with this. If your child needs some encouragement in thinking about what kind of puppets they want to make, think of one of their favorite stories or a character that they really enjoy, and they can do that. And then maybe you can make one along with them and create a story together. All right, the last one is the classic sock puppet. And I have started one here. This one, if you're going to use sewing, you're going to want to work with the child who has some previous sewing skills. So this one has a hole in the back, and I'm going to put hair over that. And the nice thing about it is that it is a little bit easier to sew because it doesn't matter if you have the knot on top. Hopefully I've not given myself another knot to deal with. All right, because the button will cover it up. So you can just go through here and sew. And this practices some basic sewing skills. And I just decided that this puppet needed some purple eyes. So that's what I did. Thank you.
You're welcome. I realized you knew it.
And so, yeah, this can just get them on there so that it stays and that eye's not going to pop off. And sometimes people will actually just glue these on, and you will from time to time when you do that lose an eye. And if your child has a dark kind of sense of humor like mine, that you could just roll with that.
Yeah.
So that would be up to you.
Or make a sock puppet eye patch.
Yeah. Oh, that's an awesome idea.
It could be a pirate.
Yeah.
Exactly. One of the great things about buttons is that you can sew either across between the 2 holes so that it makes an X with the thread, like my mom is doing, or you can do up and down between the 4 holes so the thread is more like this, and both of those work just as well and will secure your eyeball on your sock.
I was just
not
thinking,
your eyeball, but
yeah, don't do that.
no,
Yeah, don't do that.
that sounds painful.
And I was just thinking with the one that was just up and down, that would give it more of a reptilian look,
Yes.
too, if you wanted to go for that. So then I'm going to just use craft glue to give my sock puppet its mouth. So like this, and I've cut out a tongue here for it. No, let's see, right there. And you can also sew these on. This is a little bit easier. And then I cut some felt into strips to make us a nice red head here. And that will give you the idea. We can always add some more. And maybe, let's see, we need a nose. What color do we want the nose to be? Pink, maybe?
Yeah.
All right. So that's where our Sharpie comes in, or whatever permanent marker you have on hand.
And if your sock puppet has whiskers or
Ooh, some whiskers.
scales or freckles, the Sharpies are also great for that.
That's a great idea. Let's see. Here are some whiskery colors. All right. So, and of course we want a name for our puppet, so we have to think about that. What do we think?
It kind of looks like a Archibald.
Ah, I love it. Okay. Archibald it is. And after we sent out the email, I thought of another puppet thing that we have done. So this was a little bit more involved, but we did it for Chinese New Year, and I just wanted to share it with you in case you had one of those like this, red plastic cup. So I prepared this part by cutting some eye flaps with an X-Acto knife and this is a chopstick, but you could also use a dowel, so you need a hole in the bottom and the top. And then I just secured it with some glue. And then the children put a face on it, and we had some wiggly eyes. You want to hold that in? But you could also draw the eyes on. And added some scales with permanent marker and some fire coming out, because some dragons breathe fire, as we know. And then we strung crepe paper and did embroidery floss between it, just to hold them in place. So you have a puppet like that. All right. Here, I will just give him to you. All right, so, hi Gina. So if you found that helpful, we hope you will like it on Facebook. You can also rewatch on Facebook, on YouTube, and on our site, www.aspaciousplace.com. And our next Facebook Live, Creating with Your Child, will be on July the 7th at the same time, 2:30 Central Daylight Time. And to close, we have a child's prayer to God. Dear God, I like the Lord's Prayer best of all. Did you have to write it a lot, or did you get it right the first time? I have to write everything I ever write over again. Lois.